For more on the controversial situation in Burkina Faso, a professor of international law and strategic studies, David Aworawo, joins me virtually here in Lagos. Thank you so much for joining us on World Now. Blaise Compaore had been convicted in absentia in April to life in prison, just like we know, for complicity in his predecessor, Thomas Sankara's murder, and lawyers for Sankara's family have demanded that Compaore be arrested on arrival. So how do you think this will turn out for the next president, for the former president?
Well, Lieutenant Colonel Damiba that invited him has also invited all the other ex-leaders of Burkina Faso. But given the fact that a properly considered court found him guilty of involvement in the murder of Thomas Sankara in 1987, one would have expected that Lieutenant Colonel Damiba would not get involved in the controversy of whether he will be arrested or not by inviting him. He should have just left him out of the ex-leaders that he decided to invite. But as it turned out, he has invited him. He has, Compaore has landed in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, and the people are calling for his arrest. Ordinarily, where the rule of law prevails, if a court sentences someone who has been away in exile and the person returns, the proper thing to do is for the person to be arrested and then, face justice. But as things stand, it does not seem that Damiba is going to listen to anybody. Compaore will likely come, attend the summit or conference or whatever they call it, that to get ideas on how to tackle insurgency and terrorism in the country. He will likely go away to Cote d'Ivoire safely after the meeting holds. That is what I think.
So now that the country's military government, invited former leaders to take part in a reconciliation summit in the capital, how far-reaching do you think this will go?
Well, Lieutenant Colonel Damiba says he wants to get ideas as to how to tackle insurgency in the country, terrorism in the country, and that he needs the involvement of ex-leaders of the country to be able to do that successfully. Nothing is wrong with that because, when one is faced with such a complex security environment, ideas from as many people as possible that can help is desirable. But where the problem lies is his invitation of Compaore, because Compaore has been found guilty by properly constituted court of law in Burkina Faso. And having arrived, he was sentenced in absentia. He was away in Cote d'Ivoire. He has been away in Cote d'Ivoire since, he was, toppled in 2014. Now that he has landed in the country, the proper thing to do is to get him arrested, or to be on the safer side. Damiba shouldn't have invited him at all, not to get involved in this controversy. But this just indicates what military rulers do all over the place. They do not have respect for the rule of law. And this invitation is going to complicate the already complicated, regime of Lieutenant Colonel Damiba.
Well, very quickly, do you now think that Mr. Compaore could be granted a pardon, as speculated by Burkinabe media, if he was or if he's eventually arrested?
Well, I know that he will not be arrested. He plotted a coup, overthrew Sankara. Sankara was assassinated, even though they were friends. Damiba has invited. He also, of course, overthrew the civilian government early in the year, in January this year. So they are of the same. They are of the same. They belong to the same class of coup plotters, except that Damiba's coup didn't kill his predecessor. So that's just the difference. And if Damiba did not want to, if Damiba wanted him arrested, it is not this kind of invitation that will have led to, will have brought him in for him to be arrested. So he's invited as a guest, and he will be treated as such. He will be treated in a princely manner to attend the meeting and all that. So that is what will likely happen. But as for whether he will be granted pardon or not, well, it is possible that Lieutenant Colonel Damiba may consider granting him pardon. But if that is what Damiba had in mind, he ought to have done that before inviting him, in which case he will be landing in Burkina Faso as a pardoned former head of state who was found guilty. But as we stand, he has been, sentenced to life imprisonment. And for him to come to the country without a pardon and without an arrest, right. I mean, it's just contrary to everything we know about rule of law.
Right.
Right.
Well, the country is actually faced with different, crises, especially the Al-Qaeda and ISIS-affiliated armed, group who are fighting in the north. Well, we'll see how the whole situation will definitely pan out at the end of the day. Professor of International Law and Strategic Studies, David Aworawo, thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thanks so very much.